Amici telespettatori, buongiorno. We are here today at Casa Italiana, Zerili-Marimò of New York University with a great Italian writer, Dacia Maraini. Her books have been translated in all the possible languages, and her name and her work is well known and respected again all over the world. We took advantage of her last trip to New York to invite her to speak at Casa Italiana and to have this interview for you, the audience of i-ItalyTV. You are partly Tuscan. Your father was a very important scholar, an anthropologist. Your mother was a Sicilian princess. So already in this, you're an unusual Italian combination. And you spent your early life in Japan because it was the field of study of your father. And then it became your prison. Would you tell us something about your unusual and painful childhood?
Well, it was not all painful. I mean,
Good.
In the beginning, we went to Japan and we were very happy there with Japanese friends. That's a problem started in the 43 because the Japanese government asked to all the Italians who were living in Japan to sign an agreement to the Repubblica di Salò. So my father, who was anti-fascist, and my mother too, so they decided not to sign. And at that moment, they put us in a concentration camp. We stood there 2 years, and it was very, very, very dramatic.
You wrote a book about
I put
your memories.
Not completely a book, but something, yes.
Something.
Yes. And then the strange thing is that my father remembered that as he was studying the Japanese culture, he knew very well that there was a tradition in the samurai culture for which if you cut your finger and you throw it to the enemy, he has an obligation. You give him an obligation. And so he took an axe and cut his finger. And the other prisoners were astonished. I mean, nobody understood, but he knew. And he was clever because the thing had
its effect.
Yeah, an effect, because after a week, this policeman came with a small goat, which gave us some milk, and this milk saved us.
You left Japan after World War II when the Americans liberated
Yes, that's
the
right.
camp.
We went, yes, to Sicily.
In Bagheria.
Bagheria, yes.
To
The place where my mother, the family of my mother, had a villa of the 18th century.
And you wrote a book about Bagheria.
So I wrote 2 books on Bagheria. One is telling about my youth and when I was there, and also the modern Bagheria and the mafia, relation with the mafia too. And the other one is a novel which came out from a painting. I mean, I saw in this villa there was a painting of this Duchess, Marianna of Korea, who she had very sad eyes, and she had in her hands a small piece of paper and a pencil. And they told me, yes, because she writes because she was writing because she was deaf and mute. For her, writing was, I mean, the necessity. It was not a choice, just a pleasure. It was a necessity. She could communicate only through writing, so it was very important for her to have to write. And she becomes cultivated because usually women at that period, they were not supposed to study, to read books, but she has a special permission because she has to write. So she becomes a very cultivated person.
This portrait that you found in the palace of your family in Bagheria haunted you until you finally put down in writing the story of Marianna. Did you find documents, or is it mostly a life that you imagined and conceived for her?
Well, I found a lot of documents on the period.
Yes.
But about her, about Marianna, there's not much. I mean, the only thing that it is registered that I could find was that she was married at 13 to the uncle, and that she was deaf and mute. That's all.
You're probably the Italian writer that goes around the world the most. What is your impression about Italian language in the world and the interest or reception for Italian literature in the world?
Well, I will tell you an episode which struck me. I was in Vietnam 1 year ago, and there was a book of mine had been translated in Vietnamese. So I went to the university, and there were a lot of students learning Italian, and I was surprised. A girl, a Vietnamese girl, told me, because you are the more powerful, the power of culture in the world.
You're a poet, you write novels, and you write for the theater. And I just wanted to concentrate on one of your plays, one of the most successful, I understand. There is Maria Stuarda, a commission. Somebody asked you to rewrite Schiller,
right, yes.
But asking you, they should have also known that you would have not rewritten Schiller, you would have done something completely different.
Well, they asked me, as you said, to rewrite the Mary Stuart by Schiller. And I read it and I said, but this is perfect. I can't do anything on this play. Then I thought, and I said, well, the only thing that I could say that it's called Mary Stuart, but Mary Stuart is not so important. I mean, they are all men, as it was in the tradition of the theater, that characters, the strong characters, are men. So I said, well, maybe I will take out from this the play the two women, which are Mary Stuart and the Queen Elizabeth, and try to make a dialogue, a conflict, something between the two, even if they don't really meet each other. So it's a strange combination in which there are 4 characters and with 2 actors. They are the 2 queens, but the 2 queens, they don't dialogue between them. They dialogue with a servant. So there is when one is the queen, the other is the servant or the
lady in waiting.
Lady in waiting, and they change continually the situation, and well, this worked very well. It has been translated in 48 languages.
And I would like to now talk about your last book. That is an exception in your production, because for the first time the protagonist and the narrative voice is not a woman, but it's a man.
In last years, I've been a lot in the schools, and I met some professors which were extraordinary. And one of these teachers told me that he understood that the importance of telling stories to the children. I was very much intrigued by this idea. This time I want to try to make a man protagonist. First, at the beginning, I thought it was difficult. Then it was not so difficult. I mean,
and the title of this new book, we want to remind it to our viewer, is La bambina e il sognatore, not yet translated into English, but we hope soon. And one last question, since you are in New York, and you come here whenever you have a chance, and we are always delighted to see you. But what is your relationship to New York? What do you think of this city?
Maybe New York is not America, because it's a so cosmopolitan town. You know, you really there are so many Italians, so many Europeans. It's a sort of European town. The thing that I find very impressive is that the capacity of this country to, how do you say, to bring people to become American. America can teach this, how to deal with so many cultures and make them become one culture and a a pride of being American. I mean, this is something very strong.